Hi, I'm Andre, and I'm a black nerd with a review for you, Black Nerd Reviews Shazam! I'm gonna give you the good, I'm gonna give you the bad, I'm gonna give you the nerdy. Okay, it's a DC movie. You know how that goes on the internets. We've had our history. Shazam. First the good, I love this movie. Dang it, I love this movie. Zachary Levi, this role was made for him. He is the perfect Shazam to play the part of a big superhero who's actually a kid inside. He nails this part perfectly. He's funny, but yet he's still heroic. He is just so good. He's not the only thing that makes this film, but he is a large part of what makes this movie work. You get to have a fun superhero origin. Look, we've had our fair share of, I'm a superhero now, so now I'm gonna save the world, or I'm a superhero now, but I don't want to be a superhero. Let me be dark and broody. But this was like, I'm a superhero. Let's just go have fun with these powers before realizing, hey, you know, we should probably actually save people in the world and stuff. This is also the story of Billy Batson, the kid that becomes Shazam. We learned so much about his origin story as well as Shazam's origin story to where you don't feel bored when you don't see Shazam on the screen. It's really good. You can have all the comedy you want, you can have all the action that you want, but I think having that heart in the film is what really makes it stand out as a really good movie, because you're enjoying it as a superhero movie, but you're also enjoying it as this coming of age, trying to fit in the world. The case of Billy's friend Freddie having a disability, living in a foster home, being a part of this family that has to be created versus a family that you were born into. And it really talks a lot about the concept of family in this movie. It really helps to give it a little bit of depth to it, other than just the fact that it's just fun and entertaining and enjoyable and funny. And it's funny. It is, oh my gosh, this movie is so freaking funny. I know that it's gonna seem like, oh, he grows up, so we're gonna get some big antics, and we do, but you're probably thinking like, oh, it's a little family friendly comedy. Let me tell you something. This movie is PG-13 and it uses it. This movie reminds me so much of 80s films I grew up with, because if you think about like movies like The Goonies or Gremlins or E.T. or any of those films from back in the day, I know that movies like Beetlejuice and The Addams Family and Ghostbusters all got their cartoons after the movies came out, but when you go back and watch those original films, even though kids can watch them, they're PG-13. If you look at them again today, you'll notice that a lot of them have some very adult humor and references in them, where the adults are feeling like they're not watching a kid's film, and where the kids are feeling like, oh hey, we're watching a movie for us, but ooh, it's a little saucier than most of the stuff we watch. And Shazam does that as well. A shit is thrown every now and then, not actual, but the word. And the movie gets dark. Seriously, man, this movie's got edge. There's something that happens early in the film that I was like, whoa, this movie ain't playing around. When it needs to go there, it will go there. There's one particular scene that happens in this movie and I was like, that's not nice. Some of those people didn't deserve what just happened to them. They were just going to work that day. Like I said, it reminds me so much of the stuff I grew up with. And I love that it has some edge to it. I was really worried going in that it was going to try to be a little bit too lighthearted. And there is a lot of lighthearted stuff in it, but I love that it has that edge, that little yeah. So yeah, the DC universe. Don't worry about it. It reminds me a lot of Wonder Woman and Aquaman, where you can connect it if you want to, but you really don't have to. It's very much a standalone film. How interesting that Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and this movie are the more standalone films. I think there's a lesson to be learned here. Man, it's just all the elements work in this, and it's such a type of movie that you could have played super safe, and the fact that they were able to have that edge just really impressed me. With the comedy, with the action, there's even some jokes at superhero tropes, meta humor about superheroes in general. The entire Foster family, this could have been just second tier supporting characters that didn't really mean a lot to the story, but even they are all interesting. Yeah, they probably did borrow some elements from other films that have come out. You can definitely feel a little Spider-Man Homecoming vibe when you're watching this movie, but hey, if you make it work for you, you make it work for you. You know what I'm saying? Now for the bad, I don't really have a lot of bad to say. I mean, if you want to talk about the villain, you can. It's okay, Mark Strong's villain, Savannah, not very strong of a villain. I can understand that complaint, but let's be real. This is really about Shazam, and the story that they were able to bring to not only Shazam, but to Billy Batson and the other characters involved makes me be like, well, I'm okay with the villain not being that crazy. Plus, I feel like they're probably saving the strong villain stuff for that possible sequel when you possibly know who that villain could possibly be. And if they're still talking about the person that they possibly want to play that possible villain that could possibly show up in the possible film in the future. Is that enough possibles? Impossible. And they have these creatures. I don't know how much of it's been said, so I won't say what they are or what they represent, but they are your typical gray CGI DC monster creature type of characters. They at least have unique styles, each one of them, but I don't know, they just seem like your typical CG creatures that you gotta fight. But at least there's only a few of them. It's not like an army of them. And now for the nerdy. Even though this is a standalone film, there are definitely a lot of references to the DC universe. You're gonna see a lot of logos on shirts. You'll hear certain DC superheroes' names talked about or some powers mentioned that other superheroes have. You know, we got the after credit scenes. One of them is kind of maybe foreshadowing what could happen next. The other is more of the, hey, this is just a funny thing for you to have a little joke with before you get out of here, you crazy kids. Can we just talk about how Djimon Hounsou is in this movie? Because he's also in Captain Marvel. So as you all know, because I'm sure some people are going to write in the comments, did you know that Shazam was originally called Captain Marvel? We know, okay? We got Wikipedia. We got it. But I just love the fact that he is in both Captain Marvel and in Captain Marvel. I think that's really cool. And the movies are only a month apart. Like, that's really crazy. Your agent is good. Apparently he was also in Aquaman. He's just like, I don't care what you are. Marvel, DC, Image, IDW, you know who to call. Okay, this is just gonna be me that does this. There's a big Gremlins connection in this movie for me. First off, the main character's name is Billy. And then on top of that, John Glover is in this movie from Gremlins 2. And the first time that you see John Glover in this movie, the music that they play, because this is set during Christmas time, is Do You Hear What I Hear? Do you hear what I hear? Which is the song that Billy's mom heard when the Gremlins turned on the record player in her house in the first Gremlins movie. Gremlin naughty confirmed. So let's bring out the caring meter. It's time to see how much I care about this movie. You know what? This was tender heart all the way. I was like, this is such a tender heart film. It's just really good. It's done really well. I'm all about it. And then the third act happened. I feel like the third act in this movie is one of those, like, it's a spoiler, but it's like a spoiler that everyone knows, like the elephant spoiler in the room. Like, everyone knows what's gonna happen, but no one wants to be the first to say it. But let me just say, when that third act drops, I was just like, oh my gosh, I applauded. I was all about it. I was already on the train of like, this is really good. And then this got me to a whole nother level. Oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna do this. Y'all, this is the first movie of 2019 that I'm gonna have to give a love a lot. I gotta give a love a lot to Shazam, man. There's just so much I love about this movie. There's very little I can say that it's wrong about this movie. And then when that third act hits it, I am like, yes! This is my movie. There is just something about this movie that while it is playing some of the similar beats as a superhero film, it just hit so many notes in its comedy, in its storytelling, in its performances that just made me just love this movie. I've already seen it twice, and if this is the track record that DC can go with, having some fun, but also still being edgy, I'm all about it, man. Are you going to see it? If you have already seen it, do you feel the same way I do? Or do you have some more pros or more cons? Whatever you feel, discuss amongst yourselves. I just want to let you know how I feel. And I feel like this is definitely one of my faves so far of the year. I'm pretty sure there's another movie that's going to join it very soon. We still got a couple of weeks. But until we get there, Shazam is on the top. And then, of course, when Sonic the Hedgehog comes out, because that's just going to be movie of the year 2019 regardless. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, do whatever you want to do. I always appreciate the support. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Audi 5000. Shazam!